Victor Hale was the kind of man people recognized before they even saw his face. His name was on glass buildings, charity banners, and business headlines. In the city, drivers slowed down when his black car passed. Servers straightened their backs when he entered a room. Managers hurried to greet him with nervous smiles. Victor liked that feeling. He liked walking into places and watching everyone adjust themselves around him. He was young for someone with that much money, but he acted older than most. He spoke like every minute belonged to him. He listened like he was doing a favor. Some people called him confident. Others used different words when he was not around. That evening, Victor did not go to his usual expensive places. He had finished a long meeting and wanted quiet. He told his driver to stop near a small restaurant tucked between two offices. The sign was simple. The windows were warm with light. It was not fancy, but it looked clean and calm. Victor walked in like he owned the air. The host looked surprised but tried to stay professional. He offered the best table near the window. Victor sat without thanking him. He placed his phone on the table and checked a few messages with a flat expression. The restaurant had a soft hum. Plates clinked. People spoke in low voices. A family laughed gently at a corner table. A couple shared dessert near the back. Victor did not notice any of it. He only noticed that the chair was slightly too small for his taste and that the menu had too many simple options. A waitress approached with a notepad. Her name tag said Maya. She had neat braids pulled back, and her uniform was plain but clean. She looked tired in a normal way, like someone who worked hard, but her eyes were focused and steady. "Good evening," Maya said. "Can I get you something to drink?" Victor barely glanced at her. "Water." "No ice," he said. Then he added, "And give me 5 minutes." Maya nodded like she had heard worse. She walked away without any extra expression. Victor liked that she did not try to charm him. Most people tried too hard when they realized who he was. They laughed at jokes he did not even make. They agreed with opinions he did not even finish. It bored him. When Maya returned with the water, Victor was still on his phone. She waited silently. He finally looked up. "What do you recommend?" he asked, and his tone made it sound like a test. Maya pointed to a dish that was popular and quick. "That one is good. Fresh and simple," she said. Victor smirked. "Fine. Bring it." Maya wrote it down and walked away again. Victor leaned back and looked around. A few people recognized him now. He could tell because they tried not to stare. He could also tell because their shoulders stiffened. That feeling, the small fear and respect, settled into him like a comfortable coat. Still, something felt off. Not about the restaurant. Not about the food. It was something inside him. He had been winning for so long that winning felt normal. He wanted a new kind of proof. Something quick and public. Something that reminded him he was not only rich, but smart. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small notebook. The cover was black and worn at the edges. Inside were pages of notes, symbols, and patterns. He had started it years ago, not for school or work, but for his own entertainment. Whenever he felt restless, he created puzzles. He liked watching people struggle. It made him feel sharp. Most of his friends were business people who acted smart but did not enjoy thinking. They avoided anything that might make them look confused. Victor had tried his puzzles on them once. They failed and then laughed it off. Some even became annoyed. After that, Victor started testing other people. Not because he needed answers, because he wanted reactions. When Maya returned with the food, she placed the plate neatly in front of him. She set the cutlery in the right position without thinking. Her movements were calm and exact, like she had practiced them for years. Victor watched her hands. Then he looked up at her face. "You look like someone who thinks," he said. Maya blinked once. "I think everyone thinks," she replied. Victor smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was a smile with teeth. He opened his notebook and turned it toward her. "Solve this," he said. Maya's eyes moved to the page. It was a grid of numbers with a few blanks. There were small marks in the corners, tiny arrows, and a set of rules written in short lines. It looked like a mix of a math puzzle and a logic game. Maya did not step closer yet. "Is it okay if I read it for a second?" she asked. Victor lifted his chin like a king giving permission. "Sure. But let me make it interesting." He leaned forward slightly. "Solve it, and I'll give you everything." Maya's eyebrows rose just a little. "Everything?" Victor nodded, enjoying the attention. "Whatever you want. Money. A car. A job. A connection. Name it." A few nearby guests noticed the conversation now. A man at the next table paused with his fork in the air. A woman across the room slowed her sip of tea. The host glanced over, nervous, but did not approach. Maya looked at Victor, then at the puzzle again. "Are you serious?" she asked. Victor tapped the notebook with one finger. "Completely. But you have to solve it right here. No phone. No help." Maya stayed quiet for a moment. Then she pulled a small pen from her apron pocket, like she always carried one. She did not ask for it. She was ready. Victor's smile grew wider. He expected her to try, fail, and walk away embarrassed. He expected the people watching to laugh quietly. He expected to feel powerful again. Instead, Maya asked one calm question. "Do the arrows mean direction for reading, or direction for movement?" Victor paused. It was a simple question, but it caught him off guard. Most people stared at the grid and guessed. They jumped into the numbers without understanding the rules. No one had asked him that question before. "They mean movement," Victor answered, trying to sound bored. Maya nodded. "Okay." She leaned in closer. She did not touch the notebook yet. She just looked. Her eyes scanned the rows and columns slowly. She studied the corners with the marks. Then she read the short rules written underneath. Victor watched her face, waiting for confusion. But her expression stayed steady. He tried to distract her. "This puzzle came from a professor I met in Europe," Victor lied smoothly. He had invented it himself, but he liked building stories around his cleverness. He said only real problem solvers could do it. Maya did not respond. She was still reading. Victor felt a small pinch of irritation. He wanted her to react. He wanted her to ask about him. He wanted her to show fear or excitement. But Maya stayed in her own world. After a few seconds, she straightened slightly. "May I write on your page?" she asked. Victor laughed softly. "Go ahead. You won't finish it anyway." Maya placed the pen tip carefully near the first blank. She did not start writing numbers right away. Instead, she made tiny marks in the margins. Small lines. Little circles. One or two symbols of her own. Like she was building a map before taking a step. Victor frowned. That was not what people usually did. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Checking the pattern," Maya said. Victor leaned back and crossed his arms. He watched, confident, but his attention sharpened. Maya moved her pen to a second blank. Again, she paused. She looked at the arrows, then the numbers around it, then the rule line. Her lips moved slightly, like she was counting quietly in her head. A guest near the window whispered something to another person. The couple at the back leaned to see. Even the host stopped pretending to arrange menus and watched. Victor noticed the attention. It should have made him feel proud. But instead, it made him tense. If Maya somehow did well, it would not be about him anymore. It would be about her. Maya wrote a number in the second blank. Victor's eyes narrowed. Many people filled blanks early with guesses. But Maya's number did not look random. She wrote it neatly, then underlined it once, like she was sure. She moved to the third blank and did not write yet. She looked at the same row and then the column. She tilted her head. Then she lightly tapped the pen on the table, once, like she had an idea. Victor tried to play it cool. "You know, this is harder than it looks," he said. "I've seen lawyers and engineers give up." Maya smiled politely but kept working. She wrote another number, then a small note beside it. Victor leaned forward without noticing he was doing it. His crossed arms loosened. His body was now closer to the table, like a man watching a race. Maya continued. She did not rush. But she also did not hesitate like someone lost. She moved like someone following steps she could see clearly. After a few minutes, she stopped and looked at the whole grid again. "One more question," she said. Victor's heart thumped once, fast. He hit it with a shrug. "Sure." "Do the corner marks mean the total for each quadrant?" Maya asked. "Or do they mean the limit for repeats?" Victor stared at her. That question hit even harder. Because it was the right question. It was the question that separated guessing from understanding. It was the question he had expected only advanced people to ask. He cleared his throat. "Quadrant total," he said quickly. Maya nodded again. "That helps." Victor's mouth went dry. He reached for his water and took a sip. The glass felt colder than before. Maya looked at the top left section and made a few quick calculations with her pen marks. Then she wrote 2 more numbers, one after the other, without pausing. Victor's eyes widened slightly before he forced them back to normal. The restaurant felt quieter now. Not because people stopped eating, but because they were listening. They wanted to know what would happen. Some watched Maya's hand. Some watched Victor's face. Maya finished filling the final blank. Then she drew a simple line under the grid and wrote a short checklist, like she was confirming each rule. She placed the pen down gently and slid the notebook back toward Victor. "I think that's it," she said. Victor stared at the page. For a moment, he did not move. He only looked. His brain raced, checking her answers against the rule system he had created. He expected to find a mistake quickly, like always. But the first row matched. The second row matched. The quadrant totals matched. The arrow movement rule matched. The repeats were clean. The pattern, the hidden pattern he was most proud of, was perfectly respected. Victor's stomach dropped. His jaw loosened without permission. His confident expression broke. It was subtle, but everyone could see it. The billionaire who always looked in control now looked surprised, almost like a boy caught off guard. Maya waited politely, her hands resting near her apron. She did not smile in victory. She did not tease him. She simply stood there, calm and steady, like she had just done her job. Victor looked up at her. The room seemed to hold its breath. "You solved it," he said, and his voice sounded different, like it came from deeper in his chest. Maya nodded. "Yes." Victor swallowed. He glanced around and realized how many people were watching. That made him feel exposed. Then he looked back at Maya, and something else hit him, something sharper than surprise. He had promised her everything. Victor tried to pull his confidence back like a mask. He sat up straighter and forced a small laugh. "Interesting," he said. "Very interesting." Maya did not move. "You said I could ask for anything," she replied softly. Victor's eyes flicked to the notebook again. The proof was right there in ink. He had no way to deny it without looking childish. He tapped the page once, slow. "Fine," he said. "Ask." Maya took a breath, like she had been holding something inside for a long time. Her eyes stayed calm, but there was weight behind them. She looked at Victor, not with fear, and not with worship, but with the steady look of someone who knew what she wanted. "I want you to help me build something," Maya said. Victor blinked. "Build what?" Maya opened her mouth to answer, and the whole room leaned in. That was the moment Victor realized this was not going to end the way he expected. The restaurant stayed quiet after Maya spoke. Victor looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. He had expected a request for money or a job or a favor that would make him feel generous. Instead, her words landed with weight. She wanted to build something. That idea did not fit into the picture he had formed in his mind. Victor leaned back and studied her face. "Build what?" he asked again, slower this time. Maya took a moment before answering. She was not nervous, but she was careful. "A learning place," she said. "A small center where kids can come after school. A place with books, quiet space, and people who help them understand things, not just memorize them." Victor raised an eyebrow. He had funded big education projects before. They had his name in gold letters on the wall. They were handled by teams and reports. This was different. This was personal. "You want me to pay for it," he said. "I want you to help," Maya replied. "Money helps. But attention helps more." Victor laughed once, short and sharp. "You are bold." Maya met his eyes. "You told me to ask." The people nearby pretended not to listen, but they listened anyway. The host stood frozen near the counter. A man at the next table nodded slightly, as if he approved. Victor felt something twist inside him. He was not used to being challenged in this way. Usually people either feared him or admired him. Maya did neither. She spoke to him like he was just another person with a choice to make. He closed the notebook and slid it into his jacket. "Sit," he said, pointing to the empty chair across from him. Maya hesitated. She looked toward the counter, then back at Victor. "I am working." Victor waved his hand. "I will talk to the manager." Before she could reply, he stood and called the host over. He spoke quietly but firmly. The host nodded quickly and stepped away. Victor sat back down. "Sit," he said again. Maya took off her apron and folded it neatly. She sat across from him, keeping her posture straight. The table between them suddenly felt smaller. Victor studied her hands. They were steady. No shaking. No signs of excitement or fear. "How did you learn to solve puzzles like that?" Victor asked. Maya shrugged slightly. "I like patterns. I notice things." "That does not come from nowhere," Victor said. Maya smiled softly. "My mother used to give me number games when I was little. She worked 2 jobs, but every night she asked me one question. Sometimes it was math. Sometimes it was logic. Sometimes it was just why questions." Victor listened without interrupting. He realized that he actually wanted to hear more. "And school?" he asked. Maya's smile faded a little. School was fine until it wasn't. Teachers were tired. Classes were full. If you fell behind, you stayed behind. I worked instead. Victor nodded slowly. He had heard similar stories before, but never this close, never from someone sitting across from him after beating his puzzle. "So you want a center for kids like you," he said. "Yes," Maya answered. "Kids who think but are not seen." Victor tapped the table with one finger. His mind moved fast, calculating costs, locations, risks. But there was another voice in his head now, quieter, asking why this mattered to him. "You know," Victor said, "many people would have asked for a check and walked away richer." Maya looked at him. "Money solves today. Learning solves tomorrow." Victor leaned back and laughed, a real laugh this time. It surprised him. "You are dangerous," he said. Maya tilted her head. "How?" "You make people think," Victor replied. The manager approached carefully. Victor spoke with him briefly. The manager nodded, looking confused but respectful. Maya was officially off duty for the night. Victor ordered tea for both of them. When it arrived, he did not touch it right away. "Let us say I agree to help," Victor said. "What do you expect from me?" Maya thought carefully. "I want you to visit the place once a month. Talk to the kids. Answer their questions. Show them how thinking works in real life. Victor blinked. You want my time? Yes, Maya said. That is harder to give than money. Victor felt exposed again. She had seen through him. He had used money to avoid involvement. This request forced him to be present. You really do not fear me, Victor said. Maya shook her head. I respect thinking, not titles. Victor stared into his tea. The surface reflected his face, serious, thoughtful, less certain than usual. All right, he said finally. I will help you build it. Maya let out a slow breath she had been holding. She smiled, not wide, but genuine. Thank you, she said. Do not thank me yet, Victor replied. We will do this properly. Legal setup. Location. Staff. Maya nodded. I expected nothing less. Victor smirked. You planned this. I hoped, Maya said honestly. They spent the next hour talking. Victor asked questions. Real ones. About space, age groups, schedules. Maya answered with clarity. She had thought about this for years. She knew what she wanted and what she did not. Other guests slowly returned to their meals, but some kept glancing over. They sensed something important was happening. When they stood to leave, Victor reached for his wallet. Maya stopped him. I can pay for my tea. Victor looked at her, then smiled. I insist. Outside, the night air felt cooler. Victor's driver opened the car door. Victor paused. I want you to come to my office tomorrow, he said. Maya hesitated. I work. You will not tomorrow, Victor replied. I already spoke to the manager. Maya studied his face, then nodded. Okay. As Victor got into the car, he felt something new. Not victory. Not power. Responsibility. The next morning, Maya stood in the lobby of Victor's building. It was tall and bright and filled with people moving fast. She wore simple clothes and carried a small notebook of her own. Victor met her in the lobby instead of sending an assistant. That alone surprised the staff. In his office, walls of glass showed the city below. Victor offered her a seat and coffee. They went over plans. Real plans. Victor called in a few trusted people. He introduced Maya not as a waitress, but as a partner. Some faces showed surprise. Some showed doubt. Victor noticed and ignored it. This project matters, he said. If you do not see why, you should not be in this room. Silence followed. Then nods. Over the next weeks, things moved fast. A small building was chosen near a school. It needed work, but it had good light and quiet rooms. Maya visited often after her shifts. Victor visited too, sometimes unannounced. People in the neighborhood noticed. They whispered about the billionaire who showed up without cameras. About the young woman who led the conversations. One afternoon, Victor watched Maya explain a logic game to a group of kids during a trial session. She knelt to their level. She listened when they were confused. She asked questions instead of giving answers. Victor stood near the door, hands in pockets. He felt something tighten in his chest. Pride, maybe. Or regret for the years he had spent proving himself instead of helping others prove themselves. A boy solved the game and smiled wide. Maya smiled back, just as wide. Victor realized then that the puzzle in the restaurant had not been the real test. The real test was happening now, and Maya was still solving it, step by step. As he left that day, Victor looked back at the building. He did not see his name anywhere. For the first time, he did not need to. And Maya, watching the kids pack their bags, felt something too. Not triumph. Purpose. Neither of them knew yet how much this choice would change their lives. But both knew one thing for sure. The story had only just begun. The Learning Center opened on a quiet Monday morning. There was no big banner and no crowd of reporters. The walls were freshly painted in soft colors. Shelves held donated books arranged by level, not by price. Tables were simple but strong. Light came in through wide windows, making the rooms feel open and safe. Maya arrived early. She walked through each room slowly, checking chairs, straightening books, wiping a table corner with her sleeve. She took a deep breath and stood still for a moment. This place had lived in her thoughts for years. Now it was real. Victor arrived a little later. He did not wear a suit. He wore a plain shirt and dark pants. When he walked in, he did not take control of the room. He stood near the door and watched Maya move. She looked focused and calm, like she belonged there. Kids began to arrive with their parents. Some held backpacks with broken zippers. Some clutched notebooks like treasures. Their parents looked unsure but hopeful. Maya greeted each one by name. She had learned them during the trial weeks. Victor noticed how the kids responded to her. They trusted her. They listened. They were not afraid to ask questions. One small girl raised her hand and asked Victor who he was. Victor smiled and said his name. He did not add titles. The girl nodded and went back to her book. That small moment stayed with him. As weeks passed, the center grew busy. Kids came after school. Some struggled with reading. Some loved numbers. Some just needed a quiet place to sit and think. Maya guided the staff with patience. She never rushed anyone. Victor kept his promise. He visited once a month. Sometimes more. He talked to the kids about ideas, not money. He explained how problems could be broken into steps. He answered questions honestly, even when he did not know the answer. At first, he felt awkward. He was used to boardrooms and control. Here, kids interrupted him and corrected him. One boy pointed out a mistake in his example. Victor laughed and thanked him. That moment changed something deep inside Victor. He realized that respect did not come from power. It came from listening. Outside the center, people started talking. Not about Victor's wealth, but about the place. Parents saw changes in their children. Grades improved. Confidence grew. Kids asked better questions at home. One evening, Victor sat alone in his office long after everyone left. He looked at old photos on his wall. Buildings. Awards. Headlines. They suddenly felt distant. He thought about the restaurant. About the puzzle. About how close he had been to missing everything important. Meanwhile, Maya faced her own challenges. Managing the center was hard. Funds needed tracking. Staff needed support. Some days she felt tired beyond words. But when she felt doubt, she watched the kids learn, and the doubt faded. One afternoon, a teacher from a nearby school visited. She thanked Maya with tears in her eyes. She said one boy had spoken in class for the first time. He had explained a solution clearly and proudly. Maya listened quietly. When the teacher left, Maya sat down and let herself smile. Months later, Victor invited Maya to speak at a small private gathering. Business leaders filled the room. Victor introduced her simply. "This is Maya," he said. "She taught me something important." Maya spoke calmly. She talked about curiosity, about patience, about giving people space to think. The room listened. Not because of Victor. Because of her words. After the talk, several people asked how they could help. Maya did not promise anything. She said each place needed care, not copies. Victor watched from the side. He felt pride, but also humility. Late one evening, after the center closed, Victor and Maya sat in the main room. Chairs were stacked. The lights were low. "You changed my life," Victor said. Maya shook her head. "You chose to change it." Victor nodded. "I thought intelligence was about winning. I was wrong." Maya looked around the room. "Intelligence grows when shared." Victor smiled. The puzzle notebook still sat in his drawer. He had not opened it in months. He did not need it anymore. The arrogant billionaire no longer looked for people to fail. He looked for people to grow. And the waitress who solved a puzzle had built something stronger than wealth. A future filled with minds that knew their worth.